5 things I would never let my child do after being in prison for 10 years because of the insane people that I saw. I mean, these people really exist. And also the way that the judicial system can work against a parent who really didn't harm their child intentionally. So here they are. Number one, I would not let my child, and I know some of you guys can't help this, okay? You got to do what you got to do. I get it. But I would not want my child to be in a daycare or a preschool or any kind of place until they can communicate well, until they can speak and let me know if something is wrong, until I am confident that, honey, they can come up and say, so and so is hurting me or whatever. Because I saw a lot of people in prison, you guys, who worked in daycares or in preschool or in day centers, even at like people's jobs and stuff. They had like little day center, and these people would work there and target these places because they wanted to be around children and hurt them. So yeah, if my kid can't talk and tell me what the heck's going down, they're not going to be going anywhere if I can help it, okay? I know some people can't, but number two, I am not letting you watch my child babysit. I don't care if it's babysit for 10 minutes or 4 hours or overnight. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not letting you babysit my child unless, and this goes for family members too, okay? Unless you have children of your own. I have seen you interact with those children. I have seen those children flourish and be safe and healthy under your watch, because a lot of people who have sick intentions and be right in your family and close to you and your best friend, people that you went to high school with and you've known your entire life, they will grow up with a little sickness in their mind, and they will target the kids that are the closest to them. And that's the ones that they know, the people that they've known their whole life, their family members. It's their children. And they will get those kids in their care and babysit them, and they will abuse them, and they will do things to them, and they will hurt them. And you will not know about it until years later when the damage is done. Okay. These people may not have been sick in the in the mind, in the head, when you knew them, when you guys were 12, but now they're in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and they're sickos, and you don't even know it. And the closest, most accessible children to them are yours because they can get to them easily. I talked to people in prison and I asked questions, and I want to know what these sickos think. A lot of people who had abused their sisters' kids, their neighbors' kids, their best friends since they were in middle school's kids, their cousins' kids. The closest people to you will hurt your kids if they do not have kids of their own and you have not seen them literally take care of those children in a good, healthy, productive way for a couple years. Don't do it. Take that baby with you wherever you got to go. If you're embarrassed because the baby's screaming or fussy or tired or whatever, chalk it up. It's better to be safe than sorry. Do not trust people with your child so easily just because you've known them for a lot of years. And not to mention, do you know how many women I saw in prison, and even men, like the boyfriend and the girlfriend, someone would drop the kid off with them because they were good friends of the parents, but they didn't realize how overwhelming a crying baby can be, and they have a fit of rage because the kid won't stop crying. They explode, and now the child is, okay? So if you don't have experience with children of your own, and I've seen you with those children, you're not watching mine. My baby's not going to be the test dummy, okay? My toddler, my 8-year-old, it doesn't matter. They're not going to be the crash test dummy for you to babysit. No, ma'am, no, sir, no, thank you. Number 3, and I know that you guys are probably going to disagree, and to be fair, I wasn't home when my son was this age, so I don't really know how it feels to have a baby and want them to sleep in the bed with you. But because of the women that I saw in prison who were there for years because they put their baby in their bed and they either rolled over on their baby and did not feel their child under them, because the baby suffocated on a pillow or a blanket that got, stuck on their face, because something got caught around their neck. It doesn't matter what the situation is. Put that bassinet as close as you need to by that bed, but do not put your baby, your toddler, even like your 4, 5, 6-year-old in your bed with you. Because if something happens to them and they get injured, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to run you down to see if you have any drugs or alcohol in your system. And God forbid you had 2 glasses of wine the night before, they're going to rope you off. They're going to charge you, and they're going to put you in the prison because they're going to say that this was neglect, and that had you not had those 2 glasses of wine, you wouldn't have rolled over on your baby. I saw many a women in there who had genuinely, some of them, I believe, based on the story in the media and everything else, like it was public opinion pretty much that it was a legit accident. Some of them aren't. Some of them are high as a kite and not paying attention and roll over on their baby. Or overall, it can be a genuine accident. And at the very least, you will still get neglect charges because you had the baby in the bed with you, and you're just not supposed to do that. They're supposed to be in their own little safe space. And there's a reason for that. So even though you might think it'll never happen to you, do not, under any circumstances, put the baby in the bed with you or accidentally fall asleep as a new parent with the baby on your chest in the bed. Because if something happens, God forbid, the guilt that you're going to carry for life, not to mention the prison sentence that's going to come behind it, is going to be unbearable. Okay. It really happens. Number 4, you guys know this one all too well. We talk about it all the time, but sleepovers. I mean, this is a fucking given. Sleepovers. Your child is not going to miss out on anything. Let them stay as late as they want. Let them go for breakfast in the morning. Do your part to be, inconvenienced and have to pick them up late and drive them over there early, whatever. But I can tell you that most of the crimes, whether they were abusive in the nasty kind of way or whether they were just abusive, I saw that most of it happened at night after hours when the rest of the family is asleep. There are people that will even go as far as to put substances in drinks and food. That way they can be more vulnerable while they're sleeping to these nasty, sick adults, okay, who live in this house. No adult is going to show you their nastiest ways and their sickest thoughts. So you're not going to see these things and you're not going to know these things and you're not even going to sense it because they put on this really nice face, okay? You are best off not allowing your child to sleep over, whether they are 5 years old or whether they are 15 years old, okay? Don't do it. Do not do it. When your child is old enough to drive, and that's at your discretion, and they can leave somewhere that they're at, get in their car and go to safety and get away from there, that's when you can start figuring out if you want to let them sleep over or not. But when they're a teenager in particular, in between the ages of like 8 and 15, whew, don't do it, y'all. Don't do it. I saw a lot of sickos in there. I saw a lot of moms in there, okay? Moms who had sicko boyfriends that did things to these kiddos in their home, and they both ended up in there because the mom either didn't know, didn't do anything, like whatever the case may be. Some of the moms deserved it, some of them didn't, but back to the point, do not let your kids sleep over. There is a reason why people that have been in prison, like myself, there is a reason why doctors, there is a reason why psychiatrists and psychologists and counselors and all these peoples in these professions are telling you guys the same thing on these apps. Don't let your kids sleep over. You're not ruining their life. They'll understand when they're a parent. You're not hindering or holding them back. That one night of fun can lead to a lifetime of trauma and hurt. You're not going to win Worst Parent of the Year award because you said no to the sleepover, and they'll get over it and they'll love you for it when they're 20, okay? So this one's going to piggyback off of the last one. It's an insane story. And obviously the reason for not wanting anyone to prepare your child's meals or bottles or anything else is not only because of the common sense, they could put substances in there and, later do something to your child when they're incapacitated or vulnerable. But it's also because of this right here, some crazy shit that you guys would never even think of. But it can happen. It did happen. There was a girl in prison with me, okay? She got 13 years. She got released at the 7-year mark because she was found, it was overturned. It was found that she wasn't guilty. But it took 7 years. She was in there for 7 years behind this crazy situation. She let her child, okay, I don't remember how old her child was. She was young. She was like 5, 6, something around there. She let her child go to a neighbor's house to play. The neighbor fed her child. She ate a meal over there. I don't know what the meal was, but it was, actually I do. I think it was grilled cheese because it was like melted. Yes, it was grilled cheese. Okay. I think it was grilled cheese. Anyways, she ate a meal that I believe may have been grilled cheese over at the neighbor's house. They had been neighbors for quite a few years. They were friends. When this little girl came home, she started showing some symptoms of lethargy. She was starting to look really sleepy and really lethargic. And they didn't know what the hell was going on, the parents. So they were like, what is wrong with her? Like, is she sick or something? So they let it go for a couple hours because they thought, oh, maybe she's got like a stomach bug or maybe she caught something from the neighbor's house. She caught something, that's for sure. But anyways, they just let it go. They let it go. And so they let it go like throughout the night. But then early in the morning, like 5, 6 in the morning, the mom went to check on the little girl. And when she went to check on her, she was not out. She wasn't like unalived, but she was not conscious. So the mom thought like she wasn't conscious. She just looked like she was not responsive. That's what I'm trying to say. She wasn't responsive. But at this point, the mom, who is a good mom and loves her daughter, is like, okay, hell no, something's really wrong. Call 911, get an ambulance here, put her in an ambulance, rush her to the ER. Come to find out, the little girl goes into a coma passes away. Upon completing the autopsy, they find that there was ketamine in this little girl's system that was like a lethal dose because it slowed her heart down so much. Her respiratory and her heart and all her functions were not functioning. Then she passed. They couldn't figure anything out except for the mom. So they arrested the mother. When they arrested the mother, she was adamant. She was like, no, I love my daughter. Like, this woman has no history of crime, no history of abuse, no history of anything bad with the world, society, or her children. She had two. She was just like a regular working mom. And so they were like, well, it has to be you because she didn't have a significant other, a husband, baby daddy, nothing in the house at the time. So they were like, well, it has to be you because there's nobody else in the home. This woman got sentenced to 13 years because they thought, okay, we're going to convict her of second degree instead of first degree unaliving. And maybe it was unintentional, something or other. I don't know every detail of the plea and whatever because she took a plea deal of 13 years so that, because she didn't if not, she would have gone to trial and she would have gotten life if she would have been found guilty. And she would have been found guilty because she was the last person in the care of the child. I mean, this kid didn't go out and buy Special K on her own and come home and OD on it. So she took the 13 years. 7 years in, okay, 7 years into this innocent woman's sentence, the freaking neighbor, thank God, walks into a police station and is angry with her now ex-husband. Her ex-husband and her are the neighbors of the woman who's sitting in prison. She lets them know that her ex-husband worked at a veterinary clinic and that they had that medication, which is, I think it's for animals, for cats or something, or horses, I don't know. But anyways, it's some kind of sedative for animals. And this sedative was in their home because her and her husband used to take it recreationally, and he was stealing from the vet clinic. And he ended up getting fired from the vet clinic for this, but they never prosecuted or pursued charges. Her and him are now getting a divorce. He's cheated. She's pissed. And she's letting him know that he was the one stealing, and she thought she was going to get him in a shitload of trouble. And she has no idea how on earth the little girl got it. But what she did notice was that her kids had the packaging that a lot of it was in when she was cooking for them, and she thought maybe some of it might have gotten in the food, and they might have sprinkled it in the food, thinking it was seasoning, because her kids were also very, very lethargic that night as well. She basically just thought that that's maybe what would have happened, and it made a whole shit ton of sense. She thought she was just going to get the husband in trouble and he was just going to get some time, but that's not what happened. She ended up getting some time too. And it wasn't like life or anything because of the fact that nobody was intentionally trying to hurt anybody, but they had this substance in their house. And anyways, the point to all this is you don't know what's going on in somebody else's home. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they have. You don't know what's going on. And if something happens to your child because they ate a meal at somebody else's house and you're not even thinking that that's what could happen. You're the last one that they're around. They're in your care. Honey, you're going down. Somebody has to be blamed for it. Somebody is going to be accountable for what happened. And if nobody's standing up and you're the one that's with your kid and you're the caregiver, it's going to be you. This lady did 7 years on the house for nothing. She did nothing wrong and lost her child at the same time and lost custody of her other baby at the same time and didn't get to see that baby for 7 years or raise that baby. I couldn't even imagine the pain this woman went through. I couldn't. So, for that very reason and that story right there, I will not allow my child to eat meals at somebody else's home. You come home, baby, and you eat, and then you go right back out and play. I don't care. I don't care how nice the neighbor seems. I don't care. It could be an accident. I'm not getting roped off, and I'm not losing you behind an accident that I can't even explain our way out of, okay? No, not happening. No, 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 no. Keep your kids safe. Keep yourself out of prison. Don't let them eat meals at anybody else's home for any reason. So there you have it, you guys. Those are the things, as someone who did 10 years in the largest female prison in the United States of America and the highest maximum security prison in the state of Florida for females, seeing all the creepos, crazies, weirdos, and sickos that I saw, and seeing how the judicial system is not going to work to help you figure it out if something goes crazy and you're actually innocent. I would not do these 5 things or allow these 5 things to be done to my child if I can help it. Okay. I love you guys. I will see you on the next one. Please don't forget to do all the things like, subscribe, hit the heart, follow, comment, whatever, engage. Engagement is really what helps. And it's free, but it honestly helps. So it's just a very free way for you guys to show support and love. And I can't thank you guys enough. Okay. I don't know why I keep shifting in this weird ass way, but I love y'all. We'll see y'all next one. Later.